United forward Marcus Rashford, but any deal remains unlikely. The 26-year-old forward's wages, which are believed to be in excess, and the number of clubs interested make any move difficult deal for West Ham to complete. The competition includes Borussia Dortmund, who are also reluctant to pay Rashford's wages, while AC Milan, Juventus, and Napoli have also been linked with a move. United are open to allowing Rashford to leave the club in the January transfer window. It follows his non-selection in the last 5 matches under new manager Ruben Amorim, albeit with illness cited as the reason for him missing the 2-2 draw with Liverpool on Sunday. West Ham, meanwhile, are keen to improve their squad after announcing Graham Potter as their new manager to replace Julen Lopetegui. Attacking targets are being looked at, including Brighton striker Evan Ferguson, after striker Michail Antonio was hospitalized after a car crash in early December. Ruben Amorim is not going to part ways with his distinctive style of play, but now it is about which of the current players are best suited for it. It is clear that some aren't, but where do you start? If they can move Marcus Rashford on, then that is a start. United definitely need a number 9, to me that one is obvious. Joshua Zirkzee doesn't have the attributes to fit Amorim's style, and it is the same for Rasmus Højlund because he doesn't seem to be adapting very well. The most linked striker to United is Victor Gyökeres because he has played with Amorim at Sporting Lisbon, and I do think they have to try and buy him. When Amorim left Sporting, he said he wouldn't poach him in January out of respect, but maybe he will reassess that given how much United have struggled since he joined. They also need to look at midfield and in this window and the summer get rid of some of the deadwood for fresh players. The likes of Casemiro and Christian Eriksen should go. Kobbie Mainoo's performances need to improve because he is not at the heights of what he was last year before the Euros, but he probably needs more experience around him as he is still very young. I think we all forget that. If Bruno Fernandes is going to be their creative player, then he needs security behind him to allow him to be more free. That leads into their defense, which also needs to be looked at. They have triggered the extension of Harry Maguire's contract and they have Johnny Evans, but at his age he is probably not what they need anymore as Maguire has the experience. In the summer I would imagine they look for another well-established centre-back. Joshua Zirkzee is committed to Manchester United and intends to remain at the club for the rest of the season. The striker has struggled to adapt to life at Old Trafford following his €36.5 million summer move from Bologna, scoring just 4 goals. United fans cheered when he was substituted during the first half of the home defeat by Newcastle on December 30th, though the reaction was condemned and Zirkzee was given a positive reception when he was introduced into Sunday's draw at Liverpool. Juventus football director Cristiano Giuntoli did not reject the idea of a move for Zirkzee when he spoke to media in Saudi Arabia last week, although he admitted there had been no contact with United. However, sources say Zirkzee's mindset is centered around remaining at United this month, and club officials believe that is the most likely outcome. What's Amorim's top transfer priority? Manchester United are unbeaten in 2025. That is a sentence I was not expecting to start my first entry of the year with after Sunday's trip to Liverpool. The sentiment as United descended on Anfield, amid a storm of sleet and snow, mirrored that of May's FA Cup final. You would do well to find a single soul on this planet that expected Ruben Amorim's stumbling side to avoid defeat against Arne Slot's rampant Reds. Yet, while United did not replicate their shock triumph over Manchester City at Wembley, the performance and result was just as much of a welcome surprise. Amad Diallo's latest decisive moment in a huge game earned a more than deserved point, but it could and perhaps should have been an even bigger scalp. The 22-year-old winger squandered a glorious opportunity in the first half, misjudging his run-on to Diogo Dalot's pinpoint cross. But the more noticeable missed chance came courtesy of Rasmus Højlund, who fluffed a one-on-one with Alisson moments later. Højlund had the far corner at his mercy but fired his effort directly at the Liverpool goalkeeper, keeping his Premier League goal tally this season at 2. And, not to put a negative spin on a very commendable result, but there lies the problem. United have relied on potential or experience to provide goals for too long. I like Højlund. The 21-year-old Dane undoubtedly has the tools to bloom into a lethal striker. His record of 10 goals in 12 appearances in Europe since joining United highlights that potential. But Amorim cannot rely on Højlund, or Joshua Zirkzee, only 23, to consistently add goals as his first-choice frontman. United are in desperate need of a left wing-back, but Amorim's top transfer priority must be bringing his own Victor Gyökeres to Old Trafford. Former Premier League striker Chris Sutton believes the mindset of some of Manchester United's squad is staggering and questions whether the shirt is too big for many of the players. Speaking on BBC Radio 5 Live's Monday Night Club, Sutton and Rory Smith spoke about the mentality of the players. It's a mindset roulette. If it lands on red they'll run through a wall, if it lands on black they can't be bothered, said Sutton. It's staggering that it takes a game, that rivalry against Liverpool, to raise the levels. It also tells you how far Man United have fallen that they're reading so much into a draw. It was a good performance but it shows how far they have fallen. If I was a Manchester United fan, I would find it quite staggering that every week they haven't been invested to go into games with that level of performance. It also suggests that the shirt is too big for many of the players. Trudging through the freezing snow and slush into Anfield on Sunday, I considered whether it would be a Manchester United mauling or possibly the dull, damp, drab disappointment that this fixture has sometimes served up. I didn't even consider the possibility of a Premier League classic with the ever-growing excitement of a win or lose cup tie, laced with drama that just grew until the final whistle in front of a raucous and hugely vocal set of fans from both sides. There were narratives enough to fill an airport page-turner. The stories of Slot v Amorim and their varying tactics. I was asking the most obvious question of all long before the last 2 goals were scored: can United show this passion every week, and if they can, will they manage European football this season rather than fight against relegation for the rest of the campaign? Where did Diogo Dalot's dashing performance come from, and was it at least partly down to Trent Alexander-Arnold's paucity on the day? Would Darwin Núñez have been sent off for that challenge anywhere else other than in front of the Kop? I could go on, but the thought in my head above all others was, why can't more Premier League games be like this? Having watched far too many games whose defining feature is dozens of passes between the goalkeeper and his defenders before any progress is finally attempted to get up the field, I am getting royally bored with this chin-stroking style. It was great when Barcelona did it in their heyday, but that was because you had Xavi, Iniesta and Messi who would then do something beautiful and creative up front. This tiresome overplaying is fast becoming obsolete, even if some coaches and indeed their army of advisors who are overcoaching creatives, haven't figured it out yet. This fascinating, fast-paced match was more open than some coaches could countenance, and it is just to underline, it isn't old-school long-ball football. This was part of a reaction to an ever more moribund style that values possession stats, passing stats, and any stats over and above the real reason that football exists and is loved by all us, entertainment.